through. But the first thing is I see Megan is on, and we were going to get an update. So the template group has worked hard and put together some good, hopefully some good things they're going to share with us today. We did share all of those documents, so if you haven't had a chance, in that email it said to go to the Dropbox link, and there was a link on that email, I believe. So if you haven't looked at those, that's where they're at. They didn't go through email, they went through Dropbox. So I will turn it over to Megan, and she's going to kind of give us an update of where they're at.
Hey, good morning. So we finished, Kenzie and Kelsey finished up the actual Word document template that we will be writing ourselves. And I think too, we have to say that it's not original work. We just need to borrow from our colleagues around the country who have already come up with really great ideas and activities to teach these concepts. We just need to put them into one document. And again, our whole total we're looking at is 6 lessons or series that build on skills and abilities in those 6. Some ideas, I think we've got those in the Dropbox, but some ideas include, fair preparation or sale preparation, things that in that realm, if you're interested. We also, so we're going to put it together in a Word version. If you have photos, there's some specific instructions on what to do with those. And basically, once you have it all ready in your Word version, you've got your handouts ready, you've got your worksheets, anything else that supporting documents that kids need to do, we're going to ask that you send it to have it proofread by 2 people, one outside of 4-H, so it can be the ag agent in your office, it can be the community development person in your office, whoever's in your office, or someone non-4-H-y, just so they can read over it and make sure that it makes sense. And then the second person is a 4-H person, so that can be a 4-H professional, it can be a 4-H volunteer who has some expertise in this area and some familiarity with the topic. Once that's happened, we're asking that you send everything to Tiffany Olson in Sublette County so she can take it from the Word version, put it into her beautiful template that she created, and then she can push it right back out. Also send her those photos that you want included, the handouts, the whole bit, and then she can send it right back out to us. So that's kind of just a quick overview of the process. It's outlined very specifically in a document in the Dropbox. I think we called it resources, information, and guidelines, just so folks can kind of get a better picture of what the process is. So are there any questions? One thing we did not approach on from our end, Amber, and I guess I'll turn it to you, is there a deadline to have all this done?
I think if I recall, we talked about that on the last call, and we were going to kind of see what your final draft of everything was and then decide a deadline and how we were going to approach those projects. Were we going to do all 60 of them at once? Were we going to pick one and go, or we were going to have that discussion on this call, if I remember correctly.
Perfect.
So they're not, the proofreaders are looking for, explain that part again, Megan.
It's a couple different pieces that they're looking for. One, to make sure that you're writing clearly, so the instructions are clear. Does this make sense? Can other people follow it? And then the second part of that is actually, so there's the readability part that also includes, I guess, in my opinion, includes the sentence mechanics, sentence structure, periods as needed. So the structure, but then also that content piece isn't quite as strong of what we're looking for outside of the fact, can you follow it? Does it make sense? And is it kind of appropriate and sound? So it's, that part is, if you're pulling from other 4-H curriculum that's already available, that part shouldn't actually come into play that much, because that's already, if it's made it into another state's curriculum, that's already been peer reviewed a gajillion times and already been approved for content. So we're really looking at sentence structure, periods. Is it, can we do this? Can we follow along? Do people understand what we're trying to do?
So what about
I had a question.
Go ahead, Jonathan.
My question is, since I wasn't on the template calls, and that's my mistake because being part of that, was there discussion about using the existing C&T program for all documents that does this exact same thing? They have a checklist that they follow them all the way through, or Steve proofreads them for all of that, and then it goes to the layout people instead, or was it just this is how we want to do it? That was mine.
I will speak for myself. I didn't know that our department offered any service such as that. So this was our option that we selected.
So this is Robin. I don't know if you can hear me, but the other conversation we had was that Tiffany would be faster, given our experience with working on campus. So, I mean, we're certainly open to that if they're going to help us get it done in within 3 years, but that doesn't seem to be our experience.
Jonathan, is that something we need to maybe pursue a little more, or?
No, it just seems, no, I'm not saying that's the case. I just was curious if it was part of the conversation because, yeah, I agree. It's probably faster if we have, it's just another body versus adding to the workload in C&T. I just know they have a system. They have a checklist of, anytime you do a publication, you walk through and you checklist the stuff off, and so it's easy to track it. This is if it's personal accountability, and we're just going to track it that way and then send it to her. As long as she's willing to do that, it will be much faster and stay consistent in the look too. So, no, I just that's all it was.
Yeah, we felt also it wasn't fair to ask Tiffany to then also proof it and edit for us as well.
Right.
So we're hoping to kind of keep that amongst ourselves because we should be quasi-familiar with some of the content as well. So if we knew words needed changed and that kind of stuff.
You would hope, huh?
Maybe.
Megan, can you share what the documents are on the Dropbox so that people know what they can look for there, what they should, if they need to go there?
Yeah, hold on 1 second. Let me get there. So within the Dropbox, it should be called 4-H Initiative Team Shared Files. So when you open that, we created.
Can you just share your screen so we can see it?
How do I do that?
Go to the very bottom and click on the green folder, and then we'll see your screen and you can just show us. And you'll probably want to pick desktop 1, or I'm guessing.
We can see it.
Meg, you're muted right now. You need to unmute.
Sorry, I had to find it. Okay. Oh my gosh, this is so stressful. I wasn't ready for that this morning. Hey, so we're going to go into this folder. Here's the just a resource from National 4-H for those that want some more information. This will not help you near as much. Here's kind of our final view. So this is the beautiful template that Tiffany created. So here's what we're looking at. Beautiful, beautiful background information, space requirements, time, setup. So this example has the first I'll scroll up. The first activity is injections from quality assurance. Some reflect and apply questions. Activity 2, and reflect and apply questions. So here's our resources, references. Oh, an answer bank that we talked about. So if you need help guiding those questions, if our volunteers need help guiding those questions, here's the answers also. So are there questions on that's what the final product will look like. This word template, this is what we will actually use in a minute. This is what we'll actually use in order to fill it in. So we'll just do a Word version. So the title, objectives, materials, background, that's what we'll fill in and submit to Tiffany. See if I can do this. Oh, I'm getting good. And then this document just talks specifically about that kind of proofreader review position and what we're looking for. And all of this is available in the Dropbox.
And I sent that link out on the email that went out on Wednesday as a reminder for this call. So that link to the Dropbox, everybody should have, I think everybody has access to it. So if you don't or having problems with Dropbox, you might contact Tansy. Tansy is the one who set all those up.
Hey, Megan, it's Kenzie. Are the guidelines in that Dropbox?
They are. Let me get that one open.
Cool.
Right here, guidelines.
Is there a place somewhere that it shows what we signed up for?
That's probably not on there. Is that something you could put on there, Tansy? That was on those Google Docs, but could that be shared in Dropbox? That's a Tansy question.
I bet so.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I can either put a link back to that live document, or I can export it into Excel, but then we won't be able to change it, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time going back and forth updating stuff. So I prefer to just put a link in there back to the original document so that we can just keep that one updated if that works for everyone.
You put a link in Dropbox, or we need to send a link, email a link?
I can put a link into our Dropbox file back to that document.
Okay, yeah, that should work. And then it's in the same location for everyone, if that works. Was that Sarah who asked that?
Robin.
Yeah, that's fine. I just couldn't find it. I went back to look for it and I couldn't find it anywhere.
Okay, so yeah, that'll work. If you could do that, please, Tansy, that'd be great, because some people may need a refresher on that.
Okay.
So what questions do we have about this? So this is kind of where we're at and what they've come up with. So what questions do you have for this group? Okay, if anybody's talking, you're on mute. We're not hearing you. So I guess one of the questions I know we still have is deadlines and how we want to tackle these projects. Well, I know we've had some discussion. Everybody signed up for 2, but we've had some discussion. Do we pick the top, the highest enrollment? Do we pick 1? Do we have them all done by June, July? We've had lots of different questions and discussions around that. So I think we need to decide as a group what we want as a deadline to move forward with these. Does anybody have any opinions or suggestions you'd like to share? Megan, does anybody want to see anything else on Megan's screen so then we can see everybody else? Any other questions on that part?
Amber,
Okay.
I just want to say what Megan has pulled up real quick, the guidelines. It's actually kind of like to ensure that the lesson plans are similar to each other. If people could actually read through that before they start, just because it gives the detail on a lot of different things that will make them look similar, like it all came from
Consistent.
us. Yeah, and consistent. Thank you.
That's good to know. Thank you for that note, Kenzie.
So my other question, and I know that we talked about this last time, but I just want to make sure that I'm on the same, like, that I've got this. So these are going to go on the UW page under the youth, and then where it says projects on the 4-H page, right? Where it says projects, and then we've got, so you can click on to horse, and then it's going to have this on there as, is that where these are going?
I think that's probably a good question, but I would assume that. Is everybody else kind of under that assumption? That it obviously shared publicly for everyone?
Yes, we
Or did
also,
you guys maybe in the template group had a different idea or talked about that?
we did, and I apologize. I meant to send you and Tansy an unrelated document. I'm sorry, but we did talk about putting these online and also providing each county with kind of a hard copy version, like in a binder, and potentially even a jump drive. I don't know if it would go into the youth opportunity page or the volunteer page. I guess that's
Probably where all those projects would make the most sense to me, where all those, and I don't know where that's listed exactly, but I think that makes the most sense.
I think it might just be on the 4-H homepage on the UW site, but that I don't understand why we wouldn't. I mean, there's nothing under those necessarily right now, other than it just gives a list of all of the projects, and so I think that would be a very like, it would make sense to put them there. But
projects, excuse me, Brittany, projects have its own separate page on the 4-H site.
Okay. Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. It's a good question. Thanks, Sarah. Any other questions about the documents themselves? All right, so moving back to the deadline question. What are our wishes on deadlines? Mary Louise, I see put in the chat box, let's go forth and do it. Any other thoughts? So I think we've had a couple different, so I think we just need to decide as a team and move with it. So the discussions that we've had in the past are everybody takes their 2 projects and has everything done by the 1st of June. That's been one suggestion that we had. Another one was to take some of the top enrollment projects and work on them first, and then, you know, maybe by June, and then have a second deadline of, I don't know, October for the rest of them. And then I think, was there any other suggestions that I'm missing? Those are the 2 that I remember. Okay. Well, with that, what is everybody's wishes? Want to take a vote? So I'm hearing no discussion.
If we put it off until October, is it going to die over the summer like most things do?
It's a good question. I think we've got some momentum behind it to get going. If you have everybody has 2 projects, take 1 project a month. You can have it done in 2 months if we did set that June 1st deadline, but we need to make that decision as a team so everybody's on board with it.
But just to clarify, Amber, even within each project, there's 6 lessons, correct?
right, that's what I wanted to make sure of too.
I'm going to throw out maybe have 1 project done by June 1st and another by October 1.
I second Brittany's motion.
Me too. I like that idea.
Any other thoughts before we take a vote on that?
Liz said that she would like everyone to have everything done by June.
Can you move my office, Liz, between now and June?
But she's good with Brittany's idea too. Okay, I'm hearing no other suggestions.
Just take into consideration, Amber, Tiffany as well. If Tiffany's got to do all these things and there's 60 projects and 60 lessons, there's no way Tiffany's going to have enough time. So we might get them done by June 1st, but she's got, and it's summertime, so that we can't expect us to have end products from her until the fall, if that's how many we're dumping on her. Just a thought.
Do you have any thoughts on that, Robin? Can you gauge that a little bit? Is she okay with if we did the June and October 1 deadline? Would she be able to handle that?
I think she can handle that fine. You know, Tiffany's kind of it's cutting and pasting text for her at this point, but I think that's better. I'm assuming that they're going to be trickling in as well, which will certainly help her. But I don't want to overwhelm her either, because
right,
we are moving sometime in the next 3 to 4 months somewhere, maybe from our homes. We don't know. So I got to be careful how much I promise.
Okay.
Amber, this is Kenzie. Sorry, I stepped away for a second because I couldn't unmute myself because my mouse died. What was Brittany's idea? What did we land on?
Well, we haven't voted yet, but her suggestion was to have one project done by June 1st and your second project by October 1st.
I think that's great because it does take a while. Like, I ended up doing the example based off of quality assurance because I tried doing a horse one and it was taking a really long time to try and find lesson plans. So I think people might be surprised based on their project how long it'll take to do these. So yeah, if we split them up, and that'll probably be better.
Okay. So I guess with that, I have a question. Then you can pick whatever project you want. You have 2 that you were assigned. You pick whichever one you want and go by June 1, and the second one by October 1st. Clarifying that. So with that, I'd like to make sure everybody agrees with that. Some of those that we haven't heard from, if you could tell me what your thoughts are on it, unless you have other thoughts. Alex? Or type in one of the 2, vote yes or no. Cinnamon said she's in.
No thoughts.
So you're good with that? All right. It's kind of looking like in the chat box. I like it. Sounds great. Yes, 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 yes. It's good. Split it up. Yes. All right. Okay. Well, it looks like the majority is saying they like the June 1st with one project and October 1st for the second project that you have signed up for. So with that, then I guess that's what we'll go. We'll make that our final vote on that, and to use those documents that the template group has come up with. So I thank you guys for the work I know you guys put in, and it was kind of short notice and kind of got things rolling and got it going and did a great job of providing some of that information that we need to move forward with this. So I do appreciate that, and we need to make sure and thank Tiffany, because I know she's going to have her hands full with putting all these together for us. We need to make sure that she is thanked also, know how much we appreciate what she's doing for us. So thank you to everyone on that template group for working so hard in the last 2 months to give this to us, so we have something to move forward with. It's good.
Hey, Amber, I will put that link on there, like I said earlier, and then I'm going to add some information to it. So it has information, if you haven't looked at it recently, that it has who's going to review it, those not peer review, but proofreading people. So you'll have to enter your people there, and then I'll add another box that just says like project completed, so that we can kind of track what's completed and what isn't, and so we can check up and see how everyone's doing and if you need help with anything. So I'll add that in there as well, if you guys can just enter your information as you go through the steps.
All right. Does anybody have any questions on that process?
I have a question, and it's just because I've been gone for the last little while. Are there still projects that don't have anybody signed up for that I can be assigned to?
Yes, I will.
There is.
I'll get the link sent out as soon as we're done. But yeah, there's actually a few projects that we're going to have to figure out. Someone is going to have to do 3 or assign them. I don't know. Well, we have a few that don't have anybody, and we'll have more than we have people for.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
All right. Other questions for the template group before we, I guess I do have one other question, and I see Megan maybe just sent this in an email to me about budget. Did you guys did kind of come up with some kind of a rough draft budget? I see, maybe I'm just kind of looking at it. So because, and the reason I'm asking is because budgets, we're going to have to turn in a budget here probably the 1st of May, end of April. And I think this obviously needs to be part of it. So do you have kind of a rough draft idea, Megan? Yes.
Sorry, let me get there. Yep, I closed out of it.
And I guess we can also, we have some time to be able to look at that, but if you guys at least talked about that, and it looks like it's maybe some binders, copies, that way, you know, for each county to get a copy of it, and then some jump drives, kind of looks like, is that right? Am I reading all that right?
Yes, correct. We were looking at binders, section dividers, because that's pretty important to some of us to keep us organized. Copies, and then jump drives.
Okay. And we've got some time to be able to look at that. So we'll definitely be talking more about budget probably on our next call, or even at our face-to-face meeting the end of April. So that is a great, thank you. I appreciate you sending that. So we will get this out to everybody on that. All right. Well, I'm excited that we have somewhere to move with this. I think, like I said, you guys have done a great job, and I think we're headed in the right road. And it's taken us a couple months to get it done, but I think we are headed in the right direction. So I thank you guys for helping us keep this momentum going and moving with that. So any other questions for the template group before we move on to our next item on the agenda? All right. Well, with that, I think the next thing on the agenda was maybe Brittany. Yeah, Brittany, Month of the Military Child. So, yes. So Brittany has an update with Month of the Military Child.
Thanks, Amber. I just wanted a few minutes to talk about Month of the Military Child with everyone. In case you aren't aware, it is April. That's Month of the Military Child, April 1 through April 30th. In the past few years, especially under Ellie Riley's leadership with OMK, we've tried doing a lot of outreach within the counties, like proclamation signings with county commissioners, encourage you to do other events. Just wanted to update everybody that the county commissioner proclamation signings are not something that's a focus for the National Guard this year, nor for us. So I know for some that's good news. I did send out drafts that you could use if you'd like to do a proclamation of some sort within your county or your community. They're updated for this year, so feel free to use them. Also sent out a flyer for Purple Up, which is April 15th. That's Friday, tax day. So if you would help in getting that out to your counties and your members and encourage them to wear purple to show support for military youth. If you aren't aware, purple is the color that represents all branches of service within the military. So if you could wear purple, if you want to send any photos to me, that'd be great, and post them on Facebook and on the website. I'm working with Amy at the state office to update the state 4-H page with the military programming. So if you have any events, feel free to pass them on to Amy or myself, and we can get those posted on the website. So those are available for others to see, and I can share that with military personnel as well. Other, I took a few notes here. Big thing was, yeah, Purple Up. If you're looking for any other resources or ideas, feel free to contact me. I have some talking points I can share with you, activity ideas, contact info for military personnel in your county or your community. So really just putting it out there, as I hope some of you are exploring doing something for Month of the Military Child, even if it's just Purple Up. That would be great, because there's military youth in every county in our state. And a lot of them are connected with 4-H or are great, would be interested in participating in 4-H in some aspect. So that was really all. I just wanted to update everybody and a reminder that it is coming. Are there any questions for me about it from anybody? Thoughts, concerns?
I don't have a question, Brittany. Just thanks for taking leadership with this as far as that goes too. And I already talked with Amy too. If you guys will send us those pictures, if you're doing the Purple Up Day or things like that too. Last year, different county offices took those pictures with their junior leaders or at the schools and things. That was great. And it's nice to easy add those to Facebook pages and stuff, as that 4-H supports our military youth. So thanks for taking a role on that. And we're
Does everybody else see him freeze too?
Yeah, is everyone else still on?
Okay, Jonathan, you froze or something there. Yeah.
sorry, I'm back. I don't know what you heard or didn't, but thanks, and we're on board.
Okay. Anything else from anybody? Okay, well, if you have any programs that you're going to do or events and you could share them with myself and the state office to put on the website, that would be great. And if you have any other questions about anything, just let me know. That's it. Thank you, Amber.
All right, thank you, Brittany. So the next thing on the agenda was a state 4-H office update, Jonathan. And there was also that Wyoming State Fair Fed Animal Evaluation Contest and classes that you wanted some time.
Yeah, thanks. Just an update to everybody as far as this goes is if you know or aware that at the State Fair, Cooperative Extension, on Extension now, sponsors 3 educational events with the Animal Science Department for open to our youth. They're actually open to any livestock producer in the state, adult or youth, but they have a fed beef contest where they actually slaughter and process them. And then they have performance contests for the lambs and the beef, or lambs and pigs. And there's prize money that's pretty good. I think the winning one gets $100 or $150. For those that, with the cattle and stuff, it's a second place to dump your animals, and they actually sell them as far as that goes. But what's going on is I visited with Dr. Paisley and with Dr. Means related to how we might be able to help facilitate those events and opportunities. And what are the challenges that are existing from your perspectives of kids participating in it? Because getting very limited participation, to the point that the State Fair challenged us and said, is it time to get rid of this entirely, which would affect the WVCIA evaluation. So I told them I would meet with them and try and figure it out from the State Fair Board side of things. But the reason I wanted to bring it up on your agenda today is I need to know from your perspectives, why are kids that attend or not, or may not attend State Fair even, why are they not participating in these events? We had some suspicions from just interactive conversations we had with a few of you individually, but I wanted to throw it out as a collective group and then get some feedback as to what tools we might be able to do if we continue with it, which we're planning to, what we can do to help facilitate this at the county level for more participation. So what barriers are you running into that you think kids aren't participating, or you're all don't have information that you need? And I'm taking notes.
There's a couple things in the chat box that says entry deadlines and swine weights do not work for us.
Okay, tell me more, Mary Louise. Swine weights don't work for us, and then also the Brittany, the entry deadlines. Preferably unmute maybe so I can.
Jonathan, it's Brittany. I've had a few families tell me in the past, like, just the entry deadlines for some of those contests that you're talking about are due like the middle of, I can't remember when, but they're due way before maybe county or state fair deadlines, and they aren't thinking about it, or it's not really well publicized for them. So they don't know when the deadline is until, I don't know, they come to our office during county fair and ask how they enter it, that contest.
Okay. And Mary Louise posted, I think that they must weigh less than 100 pounds at weigh-in. And if that's the case, that pig won't make weight for fair. Okay, so that some of the parameters that are coming out related to the contest are barriers related to gathering the information and make it for participation. All right.
I think marketing too, this is Tansy. I mean, they send out kind of a word page of information on it, but it isn't really, I mean, we have to kind of modify it to send it out to the kids. So if it was a little more engaging and maybe the information was out sooner, we could start marketing now and not have something that we have to recreate.
Okay. Just for those that aren't in the chat box or logged on to be able to see that, well, I think everybody is, so you can see it. Sorry. Don put entry costs, Kim put deadlines. Alex put information out in a timely fashion, like you said, Tansy. Okay, well, we in the conversation I had with them, we identified those things as well in one form or another. What we're hoping to do is restructure that. And visiting with State Fair, they have some concerns, and they're in the middle of it as always. And part of it has to do with money, shipping costs, entry fees, how to recoup those costs, and how they want to go about doing it. And some of that I think they're just going to pass on to us. But I think the information was probably the biggest one. Along those same lines, I observed that same thing that you did. I'm working on having a student work on a brochure that we hopefully can get done that kind of spells those out with the dates and times and how to find information, instead of just waiting for Dr. Means to get that letter out that in the past has been an updated letter and been past some of those deadlines. Just a brochure that we can get together, we can share with you. And the thought process was, is it taggings or weigh-ins or through your club leaders, what have you, your county distribution methods for that. We can get the word out about those contests and see if that facilitates some of the entries going up. State Fair is adamant that there's an entry fee. They're adamant about it. So with that, how much and everything else is still going to be debatable, but that's the feedback I needed. There was some in the chat box from Mary Louise that says, what would Dr. Means and Dr. Paisley like to get out of the contest? They value it, but it's the same thing. If there's only 6 lambs and 5 pigs and 8 steers, it makes it hard to do the evaluation component, the educational evaluation component, because it's based on those animals. So for example, one of the things that we're trying to pull off this year with State Fair under Dr. Means is something's going on here with my, can you guys still hear me? Somebody nod if you can. Okay, great. What they're going to, for the swine at least, where they would actually do the ultrasound right there at the scale instead of doing it a separate time when the animals get weighed in, and that should facilitate some of that participation a little bit. Not all of it, of course, but that's one method for the swine one at least that they're talking about changing the rules to. If we get more information out to you, do you think more kids are going to participate in this, or is this just not anywhere on their radar because of the other shows? And then that's the one question. The other question is what can we do in extension, since it's our contest, 100% ours, it's no different than anything else. Do we need to do something to to support Dr. Means and Dr. Paisley in that effort, more as a 4-H system. Mary Louise said most of the kids see no value. I agree, and that's where the challenge is we've got to, that's education. Yeah, I agree.
And Jonathan, I would point out too, we've been struggling with our county carcass contest for years. And for the past 3 years or so, we've reached out to these gentlemen for some ideas and ways that we can improve ours by doing this ultrasound and scheduling it locally. We can't even get that accomplished. So I guess I'm representing my county. I would say we can't even get it to happen locally. Why would we pass that on to the state fair? There's nothing there.
Yeah, is it scheduling of technicians to come and do it, like their timeline, so we're limited because they're the only ones that do it? I mean, we have machines, but we don't have techs on them, as an example. So that thanks, Megan. That's all I needed for thoughts and feedback. If you have other things you need me to consider, because it is going to be changed and put in the fair book, please let me know. Yeah, Alex put scheduling of techs as a problem. That's because there's limited techs on that equipment. Yeah. Okay. Currently, lambs are slaughtered. Ultrasound would be inviting to you for dawn. Yeah, they are. It's a second place for those animals to get sold. I think if we started thinking about these kids, about whether second animal on, we could send them to state fair and they can get the data back and learn from it. Okay, thank you. That's what I had on that. Anything else you want me to pass on to them? Okay, well, look for that brochure at least, so you could be taking to your taggings or get to your volunteer leaders to be able to share with all their kids, and you'll probably see it emailed out even through 4-H Online to all of our livestock leaders and kids at some point in time. That was that one I had. What was the other one? Did I have another one there, Amber, on the list? Besides it.
Just a general update from the state office, if you had anything.
Oh, okay. Other things just to be aware of, I guess, since we're taking advantage of the time. Karen Allison, our new administrative assistant, started this week. This is her first for a week. So you'll start seeing transitions for communications, like with screenings for 4-H Online, and that will be going through her. Her email address is karen.allison with 2 L's, ON, at uwyo.edu. She also gets the emails that go to the generic 4-H at uwyo.edu address now as well, too, to sort through those. So we're excited to have her on board.
Do that again slow, Jonathan.
I'm sorry?
Say her email address slow this time.
Karen, Karen, and so her email address is Karen dot, and then her last name, Allison, ALLISON, at uwyo.edu.
Thank you.
You bet. So she's on board, and we're excited to have her, and it's helping get us going here and taking a lot of the loads off of us that we've been filling in with Emily being gone. We started the area trainings, so we did our first one. For those that don't know, there's kind of a focus on how we fund the 4-H program, and then how we can balance and work with you all to start helping give some guidelines a little bit more around and direction around helping our clubs and councils and committees and stuff related to budgets and accountability. So those, we're still in the middle of those area trainings. The rest of you all happen this month. Thanks to everybody that jumped on related to the horse update thing that or webinar that we did with Dr. Ingerson, or Jenny Ingerson, on Friday. We're still awaiting, you know, that's a junior horse show, so it's really state fairs. She shared the information with the superintendents that she needed to get from us from that call with Sonda and with Doug, and I emailed James, and so James is waiting for them. So it's all typical stuff. It's in their hands, and we await to hear. There is a hang up. I promised you guys an email around the showmanship. I thought we had 100% go for showmanship Then there was some balking by the state fair director. And then there was then a follow-up email saying, what's going on? Where are you at? And he reassured me that he's okay with it, and then he's got a bunch of things he's trying to sort through related to the scheduling. So it's my opinion, just based on the interactions with me, that it is going to happen, but that the timing and scheduling I have no idea what that's going to look like. Not a clue. And with that mentioned, that conversation happened on the horse side as well, on how that would affect them. And Jenny was going to take that back to those superintendents that are state fair superintendents for that horse show. So I'm moving forward with the expectation it's going to be in there, but I do not have 100% guarantee from state fair that it will be there. And I don't know what else to do at this point other than tell them that's our desire. I even got so far as to say, let us know so I can come back to the association if it's not going to happen so that we can plan accordingly. I'm assuming it's got to happen. He's got to make a decision because the book's past going to print, as you all know. So that's where I'm at with that. Showcase Showdown stuff, you should be seeing stuff coming out from Amy. Obviously, she's been sending things out to you guys as coordinators for the different events. If you have questions, please let her know. She's got the new logo out. Details are starting to be put together in terms of firming up the scheduling, and we're in the middle of identifying those judges for that right now for those different events. That's about it right now. There was State Leaders Conference. Kudos to the planning committee for that. They really did step up this year and help make that happen without having a volunteer development specialist full-time that was working with that group of volunteers. I know there was a lot of anxiety. In fact, apparently quite a bit of bad mouth in the state 4-H office at that meeting. They told me they wanted to have a conversation with the group, and so I purposely did not attend. I want you to hear that from me. I purposely did not attend their lunch business meeting so they could have that conversation without feeling like they were intruding. And apparently that turned into them spinning that into the state 4-H office doesn't even care anymore. I, again, wasn't there, so that's just kind of some of the feedback I heard randomly from some of you all that were there and or some volunteers that were concerned. So a hard conversation will continue to be with them about the future of that. They threw dates out even for next year's conference without consulting with the 4-H educator in Natrona County. So I have no idea how that's going to play out from that perspective on their end, but a hard conversation again for the third time will happen with that group about the future of that. And then we need to, in my opinion, I'm just sharing that, we need to help on a statewide basis, but also on a county basis, decide what we want the future of that to look like and what those alternatives have been out there. And we haven't had that conversation internally, meaning is it time that go away and we go to regionalized volunteer training and there's an expectation that you all are doing that on a regional level to support our volunteers that way? Or do we continue a statewide conference? One suggestion that was given was continue a statewide conference in conjunction with us having a conference for us for volunteer or for professional development. So there couldn't be crossover. We couldn't be over in their workshops, but we could be alongside them as well as a youth track at the same time and make it this massive statewide conference with 3 different tracks that then you just kind of fit in. There's pros and cons to that as well, but there's no solutions to that. But we internally have not had that collective conversation about why are our volunteers not participating and is it time for it to go away? But we can't just eliminate volunteer training in general. It has to be part of meeting our needs. And right now it's not happened collectively enough at the local level from what the volunteers are telling us. So that's why this came about 50 years.
Is that something that we can put on the agenda for our April meeting so that, I mean, now we have kind of out there some of the options and we can come back and have more of an informed decision? Because I would really like to have this conversation and have I mean, you know, some of my leaders in my county, just Sarah, and I want to be able to say that whatever we decide, that this is, everybody decided this.
Absolutely. And absolutely. It's Amber, can somehow that get added to I don't know what the agenda looks like for that April meeting, but is there time we can carve that out for that?
Yep, I have a list started here. I'll add it.
Okay.
So State Leaders Council future.
Yeah, or extensions relationship with the State Leaders Council and what we're willing and not willing to do for
Okay.
that event. And it really comes in the bigger context of volunteer training, which matches what our initiative team efforts are around project learning for delivering the best program. So I see a connection collectively, but you might see it as a stretch. I don't know. But anyway, kudos to especially to the educators up in that area, to Liz and Jim and Sarah and Kim and those guys, that Stacy and everybody that pulled that together and working with the limited volunteers. It was a success from those that were in attendance that didn't know all the other garbage that was going on. And that's always the case when we pull things off from the background. So thank you for putting up with the headaches and taking the attacks and the ambushing in the hallways. I know that happened as well. Let's see.
Hey, Jonathan, where are we at with the new volunteer specialist?
That's a great question. The interviews were completed. We have the non-success. We have a verbal acceptance for our start, but without a start date starting yet confirmed. I hope to have that on Monday of next week. So an announcement will come out, probably an official announcement will probably come out Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on how fast we get a written confirmation back with the final stuff. You know, it's never official till we get a written thing back. But she sent an email out yesterday to a whole bunch of us that were here on campus that she met, saying, I'm excited to be there and start helping me figure out how to find a place to live and a job for my husband and all sorts of things. So she's coming. I'm convinced of that. So that's good news, but I don't know when a start date. It's not looking that it'll be early. It looks like it's going to be midsummer, early to midsummer, that we'll be able to get her on board. But the other candidates do not know, and please do not leave this conference call if you know any of them and start emailing or texting them. That's my goal, is to contact them today with the bad news for them. That's all I really have for an update, other than we can ask any other questions you might have. Scholarships was the other one Steve wanted me to mention. They're in mid to end part of that process right now. The last person to evaluate them's about halfway through them, so it could be the next couple of weeks by the time it's said and done that you'll see information get back out to all your kids related to state 4-H scholarships from the foundation.
All right. Any questions? Is that everything, Jonathan?
That's all I had, unless there's other questions other people had for me.
Does anybody have any questions for Jonathan? All right. Well, with that, we're just right at just about 5 minutes to 11. So thank you, Jonathan, for your updates. We will continue. We will have a meeting in April. So it'll be April 1st, April Fool's Day. And I think starting on the topic anyway for that call. And if you guys have topics that you want to talk about at these meetings, please let me know. We're just kind of move forward with what we talked about from the meeting before. But one of them that we didn't get to today and we've talked about was those staff identified issues that we started talking about those in Riverton, and where we want to go with them, if we need to make some issue teams or some work groups around some of those. So we'll look at those a little more in depth on our next call. Does anybody have any questions, thoughts, concerns before we wrap it up today?
I have a quick question. Amy sent out an email to the committee chairs for Showcase Showdown, and I can't remember if there's anybody else besides Jody that helped me with presentations last year. So I'm wondering if anybody else wants to be on my committee for presentations. Not that I think Jody and I couldn't do it ourselves, plus our interns, but I just thought I'd put it out there because I can't remember if anybody else helped last year or not.
So nobody must have helped.
Okay. Jody and I will take care of it then.
All right.
I think we'll be okay.
All right. Any other questions or thoughts before we wrap it up? All right. Well, thank you again to the template group. I think we have, we're headed in the right direction and we're going where we're supposed to go. So I thank you guys for your hard work in the last couple months. And thank you to Brittany and Jonathan for a few updates today. With that, I guess we will conclude our initiative team meeting and turn it over to Brittany for our, what is it? Coffee talk? Is that what it is today?